All right, we're going to work through the date object, which I believe is the last thing we're going to look at here in chapter 5. We'll revisit the date object in a later chapter because it's actually a fairly complicated object to work with. When you create an instance of the date object, what it does is it takes all the pieces of the date and stores them in different areas, and then you call a method to retrieve what is stored in that different area. So for example, you say that today is whatever. It takes the month, it stores it in an area, the day of the week, the date, the year, etc. And it stores it in these different compartments. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how to print the date in a different format, and we will look at some of the kind of weird little things that have to do with arrays that can mess up your date, when you mess up your output when you're working with date objects. So let's start out pretty simple. I'm going to var, nope, I've got to click in there first. I'm going to var r date equal to, and I'm going to use the new constructor. I'm going to use a new command to use the constructor to create a date. When I leave this empty, the program automatically fills it with the current date and time. If you want to populate that with the dates, if I wanted to put my birthday in, I could do August 6th, 1971. There are lots of formats of dates that you can feed the date object with. But we're going to go ahead and, in this example, leave this alone. So we have our new date set out. And so when this program runs, it's going to go grab the current time and date off of the local computer, because again, this is client-side scripting, so it gets it from the client's resources. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reconstruct the current date in our output using just a different format. So what I'm going to do first is show you the format that it actually stores it in. So we're going to document .write our date. So I'm going to save this real quick. Save as date object. And let's go take a look at it in the browser. I didn't save it as a .html, so let me head back over here. Hang on. Save as date object .html. Now go back over here and open up our date object HTML. And so this is the default format of the date object. What we're going to do is we're going to have an output statement that says current date is 8/25/2019. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and we're going to say var date is equal to, and we're going to use the getDate method of our date object. But we're going to use that on the instance of the date object that we created. So we say our date.getMonth. And so the browser gets the month of whatever, I'm sorry, get date. That doesn't make sense to store the month in a variable name get date is. So it'll get the date. In this case, I'm doing this the day before class starts. And it'll take 25 and it'll store it in our variable. So I'm going to var month is equal to our date.getMonth. I'm going to var year is equal to our date.getFullYear. There is a get year, but it is a 2-digit year instead of a 4-digit year, and pretty much since Y2K happened, very rarely would you want to be programming with a 2-digit date. So get full year is what you're going to use there. So I'm going to document .write, and let's go ahead and put this on its own line so we can compare it to the default format of the date. And I'm going to say today is, and I'm going to concatenate on month is plus, I'm going to literally put a slash, and then I'm going to add date is plus a slash, and then plus year is. And then I'm going to close my parentheses and close my, put on my semicolon. So we'll document.write br today is, which is our little statement. We'll retrieve what is stored in month is, which was generated by the get month method of our date. We'll do date is, so this should say 8/25/2019. So let's see what happens. Save that, go over here, and let's reload that. And you notice something right off the bat. Today is 7/25/2019. I didn't make an error. This is one of those peculiar things that JavaScript does with its arrays. And when it returns the month, it puts it into an array. And as we've said before, arrays start with 0. So instead of having months 1 through 12 with the date object, there are actually dates 0 through 11. And so what you do a lot of times is you end up having to add 1 to get out of that array cycle. So realistically, if we were to look at the array that was returned, January would be 0, February would be 2, and December would be 11. And when we actually try to match that up with names later on, we need to remember if the date January is in the 0 spot, then the word January also needs to be in the 0 spot in our array. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in here and cheat, and I'm going to +1 that. I'm going to save that and reload that, and we use that to offset our month to get the format we want. But we're going to work with dates a whole lot more. Actually, before we go, let me do one more thing. And I'm going to say, let's go in here, var day of week equal to our date dot get day. And what we're going to get is another array value from 0 to 6, with 0 being Sunday and 6 being Saturday. So if we were to come in here and document.write, let's put in a BR tag, the day of the week is, and if we added on day of week, then we're not really going to get the output we expect. We go here and we reload it, and it says the day of the week is 0. Well, that doesn't make sense. To JavaScript, it does. In the array, 0 is equal to Sunday in its brain. So what we do to get the output that we want is we come in here and we var days names. And we're going to set up an array, and we're going to do Sunday, Monday, and pretend they're all spelled correctly. You're not paying to watch me type. Thank goodness. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, forgot the quotes, Saturday. All right, so now if we have an array set up, we can actually match this 0 that was returned to whatever is in the 0th spot of our array. So instead of saying day of week, we're going to tell it to go into the day's name array and used day of week as our index value. So it figures out, it puts that 0 in, and it goes into days names, which that needs to match, and it finds whatever's in the 0 spot. So instead of printing out the 0, it prints out the day of the week that's associated with it. So we save that, we reload that, and now our 0 gets replaced with Sunday. So that's just another example of an array and how the date object works with days of the week. All right, so in the next chapter, I'm going to hand you over to some videos from YouTube. You're going to spend a lot of time using something called regular expressions. It's very complicated. There are tons of good resources out there. I highly recommend that you spend quite a bit of time learning regular expressions because they're a useful tool in almost any programming or database environment that you're going to work on. And it is one of the things that is pretty standard across all of them. There are a couple of flavor changes here and there depending on your programming language, but the basics carry across all of the programming languages. So that's it for now, and we'll come back. I'll talk to you more when we get into Module 3.